Welcome to the McTaggart Attack Podcast. I'm Kevin McTaggart, the angriest comic in Vermont. And today's episode is Trivial Nonsense Friday for November 20th, 2020. For those watching on YouTube for the first time, I call it Trivial Nonsense Friday because a couple years ago, I gave an opinion on something, and this other comedian, who will remain nameless, but if you email me at mctaggartattack@gmail.com, I'll let you know what their name is. They accused me of ranting about trivial nonsense on my podcast. So I'm like, trivial nonsense? What a great name for a podcast episode. Oh my gosh. So that's how Trivial Nonsense Friday was born. Yeah, let's see. So Trivial Nonsense Friday is just a day where I don't necessarily have a plan, and I just let it go and record whatever the hell is on my mind for the next 10 to 15 minutes. But honestly, that's what most of the episodes are. It's just me ranting about stuff for 10 to 15 minutes until I feel better at the end of the episode. That's basically it. I do this podcast for me. For those that have listened before but are new from YouTube, I keep saying that. Why do I keep saying that? But yeah, I do this podcast for me. I do this when I think of the question that people are asked when they do their podcast is, who are you trying to help with your podcast? The answer that comes to mind for me is me. So I do the McTaggart Attack podcast for me to make myself feel better, in hopes that maybe if someone's listening to this, they feel better about it too, or they get informed about it too. I do my podcast for a variety of reasons: to entertain, because people find me funny when I'm mad about stuff, to inform. Like, I've done some episodes where I've talked about topics that I don't know. Like, I did one on Antifa, I did one on the Hatch Act, I did one on systemic racism, which someone replied to me and said, hey, thank you very much for doing an episode about that, because I didn't know what it was either. I'm like, I didn't know what it was either. That's why I did the episode, so I could find out what it was. I probably shouldn't do the podcast with my eyes closed if it's getting recorded on video. I don't think that's a good idea. But I guess that's the first thing I wanted to talk about today. I had sort of like a come to Jesus moment yesterday, an epiphany, which is another word for come to Jesus moment. I don't like the phrase come to Jesus moment because I'm not religious, so I feel like I'm faking it, but it makes me feel better to think that people who use the phrase come to Jesus moment probably haven't been to church in a very long time, if at all, and I doubt they're going back anytime soon, mostly because of social distancing and the virus pandemic that we're currently in. But if you're listening to this after the pandemic's over, thank God it's over, right? It's not over here yet. It'll be over soon. I don't know. But yeah, I had an epiphany the other day when I was thinking about my podcast, and I've tried recording it before to be on video and audio, on video on YouTube and audio wherever the hell you listen to podcasts. And the way I tried it before was I recorded the audio on my laptop and the video on my phone. The first time I tried to do it, I forgot to hit record on the phone. So it was only an audio podcast that day. And then the next day I did it And I never put that video out. I don't know why, but I just didn't want to. It was just a test, really. And that was a couple months ago. And then, yesterday, I was sort of just not thinking about much, just working. And it came to mind that, like, why don't I record it with the camera on my laptop with my podcast microphone and try it that way? Because then it gets saved when I finish it. It should be saved as an MP4, which I can convert to an MP3 so it can be audio, and then I can upload the video to YouTube. And that's what I did for the episode that came out on Thursday, the 19th, regarding student loan debt. So go check that out. But this one is the one after that, and it's Trivial Nonsense Friday. So I had to talk about the come to Jesus moment, the phrase that I fucking hate saying. But say it anyway, because now it's stuck in my lexicon in my head, and it's a goddamn earworm that I'm just going to say come to Jesus moment for the rest of my life, and I'm going to have a come to Jesus moment about stop saying coming to Jesus moment. See, people find that entertaining, so I'm just their angry court jester. It's really all it is. But yeah, I was glad to figure that out. I feel like the podcast went to a different level with recording it on video and audio at the same time, in the same place, with the same thing. So that's a lot less work for me, which is really all I want to do. I want to do a lot less work. And if I make the podcast better, then people will want to be sponsored on the podcast or sponsor the podcast. Please sponsor the podcast. If you want to sponsor the podcast, you can contact me at social media at McTaggart Attack, or the email address I said earlier, mctaggartattack@gmail.com. All that contact information is in the show notes of this episode, either on YouTube or wherever the hell you're listening to podcasts. Is that really all I'm going to fucking talk about today? No, it's not. Let's see. Is it me, or whenever I hear Governor Sununu of New Hampshire talk, he just sounds like a guy. I don't want to say he sounds like an idiot. I don't think he sounds like an idiot. He kind of sounds like an idiot. But I heard his press conference today where he announced the statewide mask mandate. A mask mandate that's in all the other states around New Hampshire, but not in New Hampshire. New Hampshire, which definitely has almost 3 times as many cases a day as Vermont does. And the most Vermont has had is like 150 something. And I think New Hampshire had 500 today. But they finally decided, hey, time for that mask mandate. But like, just hearing him talk to Nunu, he sounds like he wanted to be governor for like all of the power and benefits of the position. But when it comes to like the horrific things like a virus pandemic that's killing a lot of people, he's clearly not ready for that, because he still sounds shell-shocked in his press conferences. I heard his press conference today, and it's just like, hey, we're going to get just the tone of it. The tone of the press conference was such that, you know, he was trying to get through it as much as possible. He's trying to list all these good things that have been happening. Like he talked about the vaccine and, you know, the numbers that have gone through and all this stuff and how they've been dealing with it and how, you know, sure, they have a lot of numbers, but a lot of cases that have occurred, but, you know, they're handling it pretty well. How can you be handling it pretty well when you have 300 to 400 cases per day, Sununu? I'm not even in Vermont and I'm pissed off about this. Actually, I am pissed off about this because of how many damn cases they've had because they didn't have a mask mandate. You know, Vermont is virtually untravelable into, I can't travel into New Hampshire from Vermont because New Hampshire sucks at their COVID, at how they've handled COVID. Oh, that's great that they're doing well and all that stuff, but how can you be doing well when you have 400 cases a day, give or take a couple hundred? Vermont gets upset when they get one death in a day, or they had 2 today, so now it's like a national moratorium on making everybody stays in their fucking house. But New Hampshire has how many deaths a day? Hundreds? I don't even know how many deaths they have right now. I'm not going to look up that information, but it's just, Jesus Christ, New Hampshire, get yourself together. And you re-elected Sununu. Seriously, you did. People are stupid, and a lot of them live in New Hampshire. I said it. I don't fucking care. You keep electing stupid Republican governors who walk around with their head up their ass, and God forbid they actually have to do some hard work, like make tough decisions, like how are they going to handle a virus pandemic? You don't think about that when you run for office, do you? You think it's all like easy. It's going to be great. I'm just going to say a bunch of bullshit, and then I'm going to run for office and, lie to these people just to get them to vote for me, and then I'll, get the job, and it's going to be easy. It's going to be so fucking easy. What's the worst thing that could possibly happen? I don't know, a virus pandemic? So fucking stupid. Yeah, I heard him talking today, and I'm like, he clearly does not want to be in this position for the tough stuff. Sununu clearly doesn't want to be in this position for the tough stuff. He doesn't. He wants to be in it just for, the easy stuff, not the hard stuff like a virus pandemic. Sounds like a fucking idiot is what he fucking sounds like. What else is on my mind today? I don't know. For Trivial Nonsense Friday. I just hope everybody starts wearing masks now. Can we just all start wearing fucking masks now? Do I like wearing a mask? No, because I have a pretty face. So why the hell do I want to hide this shit? I just hope everybody starts wearing masks now. I have a feeling people will start wearing more masks more. I mean, should be anyway. I mean, god damn it. Sure, you look stupid with a mask on, but you look stupid without a mask on. Gotta be kidding me with that shit. People are so fucking stupid. People are just stupid. That's it. People are fucking stupid. People are so fucking stupid. What the fuck else do I want to talk about today? I want to keep going. It bothers me when I end the podcast in the 13-minute mark because of my triskaidekaphobia, which reminds me, earlier this week, I posted on Instagram that I had 13 reviews on Apple Podcasts for this podcast, and I posted, hey, can somebody help me out and boost that number? So now I think I'm up to 15, but I'd still like more than that. So if you're listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, now I know that there's a small percentage of you that do, could you please go write a review on Apple Podcast and make sure it's 5 stars? And then send me a screenshot of said review so that I know that you actually fucking did it. What else did I want to talk about today? I posted, speaking of Instagram, I think I've talked about something like this before, and this actually leads into what I talked about at the beginning about putting this podcast video on YouTube Monday through Friday. Wednesday will probably look a little different because I think I'm going to do that one differently than the other podcast episodes, but I might just do them all like this. Let me know what you think of the video podcast. I'm curious what you think. But I'll end the podcast talking about something I had posted earlier today, because the decision that made me realize that I should put the podcast on video Monday through Friday, because I was afraid of that. I was afraid of doing that. Not necessarily afraid of doing that, but like I didn't want to post a lot of videos a week, because since the pandemic started, I have been looking at YouTube a lot, and for some reason I ended up in the wormhole of YouTube where they tell you how to write YouTube videos or create YouTube videos, and so I'm in that, and like all they talk about when it comes to creating YouTube videos is the algorithm. Oh, you have to be able to, don't make the algorithm angry. Don't piss off the algorithm. You don't want to post too many videos a week because you might upset the algorithm. You don't want to post too few videos a month because you might piss off the algorithm. You don't want to, even though the algorithm changes all the time, you still have to like be wary of what the algorithm does, because if you want to be a great YouTuber, you have to understand the algorithm. And I'm like, I've been fretting about this stupid algorithm for like weeks, months. And then it dawned on me that like I don't want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a podcaster. I want to be a stand-up comedian. I want to be more than a fucking YouTuber. So it's just, yeah, I want to be more than a YouTuber. So why the fuck should I care about the algorithm? All I want to do is bring attention to myself. And another way to bring attention to myself, one way to bring attention to yourself, is to be on as many platforms as possible. So yeah, I should have a video version of the podcast Monday through Friday and an audio version of it, because that's more people that'll listen to this. You know? Because what are you doing? I'm trying to build up my brand, and I need to bring attention to my brand, which is angry comedian who has opinions on things and is trying to help himself with his own podcast. So yeah, I'm just done trying to please the algorithm, and I'm trying to please myself. That sounds wrong. That's not how I wanted to end the podcast today. I'm just trying to help myself, and I know what I want to do, and I know what I don't want to be. And I don't want to be a YouTuber that's scared of a stupid algorithm. And that's the bottom line. If you smell what the McTaggart Attack Podcast is cooking.